So last weekend at Fewest Move Singapore 2025, I got my 100th record, which is very great. Uh, it was a tight 18 NR single. So let me just show you what happened in that solve. This is the scramble. It has 4 bad edges on green, 6 bad edges on red, and 8 bad edges on white. And white uh, on the inverse was a 3 move EO, and there's 2 of them, so that's quite interesting. But basically every single useful thing that I found on this scramble came from red on the normal. So let me show you what that is. In fact, they all came from one single EO. So there's 3 bad edges over here and 3 are over here. So if we just do an R, it reduces to 4 bad. Now the pieces are here. And there's 2 ways to do this, but the more useful one that I used was B prime due to L, which solves EO, and it is also an instant RZP. It's already 4E4C, and it looks quite interesting from here. So let me show you how to solve this RZP. If you just do an F2, it connects this corner to like this edge. So now that creates a pair. Then I can create one of these columns by doing L2, which makes a column. Now attaching this last corner down here is very easy. U2, F2, T, and F. That gives me a DR in 10 moves. And in this DR is a 4A2. And it looks like very blocky. So right away I just tried to do like one HDR on it, like literally just one HDR, because why not, right? Since I'm already here. So I did R2 to split the corners into the required shape. U, now it's 4A1, 4E, and the bad pieces are kind of like this. So if we do R2, U2, R2, F2, that sets up the 4A1 trigger. U prime gives me HTR, and I was amazed at this point because that is just 2 more moves to leave slice, right? Then I quickly wrote it down and counted the number. It's 19 to leave slice. I was like, what? Okay, so this was within 10 minutes of the attempt. I already had a 19 to slice, which at worst is a 21, at best a 19, but you know, it's very, very good. But I quickly went back, so I undid all the moves. That's not true, I actually just re-scrambled, but whatever. So back here, right, I realized these 2 pieces were, like these 2 are symmetrical, so I could flip the F around and then just repeat every single thing I just did and see what happens. And let's just do that. R2 U, R2 U2, R2 F2, U prime. And then I was like, wait, oh my god, this is just 1 more move to leave slice. That's even better. It's an 18 to slice. All this within like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of the attempt. So I was already like very happy at this point. But when I went to slice it, um, this was a +2 slice. So that gives me a 20, which is actually optimal from DR, by the way. But I didn't know that at the time. So 20 to, like, getting a 20 from this, I was a bit disappointed in the sense that like I kind of got like screwed over in a sense. Kind of wanted an 18, but then it didn't work. So anyway, let me just show you like why this leaf slice thing works in the first place. So F2 U, F2 R2 U2, R2 U prime, R2. So at this point, right, so on. At this point, right before we do the last F to DR, you notice that these 2 blocks are actually like sort of, they go on the R face. So if I do an F prime here, like whatever move I do here, I could just do an R2 at the end and they will cancel out. So in a sense, I could do R2 here and F2 here, and then this would just cancel the R2. Which is not something I thought about during the attempt, but like while recording this, I just realized that that was a thing, right? So that's kind of cool. Maybe something I can look out for in future. But anyway, F prime D2, F2, L2. Nope. Let me just, so of course, like I still had a lot of time, right? So let me just, and like whenever I get an RZP, I'll just do a quick NIST trace on it. So you see, these 2 are already pairs, so there'll be at least 2 pairs on the inverse, and I was like, okay, not bad. Then I looked at the other 2 corners and I was like, wait a minute, this matches up with this. So that gives me a column on the inverse. But wait, this also matches with this. So it'll give me 2 columns on the inverse. And I was like, okay, no way, that I have to switch this, even though I have a 20 already. I am going to switch this. Okay, so I switched that EO and it looks like this. See, just as I predicted, two big columns over here, and two ways to solve this DR actually, because like you might think that you could just do this, but then the E slice is wrong. So you can either fix it by doing R2, which puts the two edges here, or you can do L2, which also does the same thing. But the one that worked for this 18 was R2, so let's just do that. R2, U prime D, B. Okay, that gives me this is a 4C3 in 8 moves, and also there's a square, so that's kind of cool, but also not cool. You'll see why later, right? From here, since I'm on the A side, right, I actually tried a lot of different ways to reduce to 1Q. I did like U or U prime or like S2U or like R2U. All these will work, and even like you can even do B2 R2U. All those will still reduce to 4B2. Then of course I missed all of them, and like it took me a very long time to do all that, but none of those seemed to work out. Like they didn't give anything good. So at about 45 minutes, right, I switched to normal from this EO, which looks like this. And I was like, well, okay, let's just try to solve HDR from here. So I'm on the B side right now. We have 3 corners down here and 1 here. The way I was supposed to progress here is to split them up into the 2-1 position. So that's 2 and, I mean, sorry, not 2-1, the 2 and 2 position. And then do a single quarter turn to reduce to 4A2, 4E. But F2 is not the correct move in this situation, because if you do an F2 and you do a U, it like gives you 2E. So I have to do a B2. And I was a bit hesitant to do that at first because it broke the square, but like I just did it. So B2, D prime, that reduces to 4A2, 4E. So you see now that it's 4A2 and it's 4 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next thing I did was I could have a choice of F2 or B2 here, but the one that works is B2, so let's go with that. B2 U, and now it's a 4A1, 4E, and pretty easy shape. You have the square and the dot and like 2 pairs, so L2, D2, F2, D. And at this point I was like, wait a minute, this is just to leaf slice. And even better than that, this last B2 actually cancels the one over here. I quickly counted the moves and I was like, oh my god, this is an 18 to slice. Plus, there's like the blocky fish sequence over here. And I was like very happy, and I was praying that this would be a +0 slice. So just quickly got to slice it F2 out to B2, and then B prime U to L, B2. So here at this point I was like, okay, let's just try to slice something. So D white prime, B2, U white, then L2, and then at this point I was like, oh my god, it's a +0. Wait, I have an 18. I was like freaking out at this point. My hands were shaking so much that I couldn't write the thing properly on my answer sheet, and I had to cancel it out like 4 times or whatever. But you know, it got done in the end. I checked it a billion times, submitted an 18. I'm happy. There's a very, by the way, this optimal for this scramble is 17, and it's like it uses like a stupid like 3+2 in this EO, which is like, no, I'm not checking that on this scramble. It's a bit too good for that, so whatever. Yeah, okay, 100th NR. It's also my 300th podium, by the way, so that's great. Love it. Bye.